January, first month of the year. Welcome to everyone. It's great to have you on board. Happy new trading week to you. There's going to be a few more people in the room today, which is fantastic. And that will be as a result of the slingshot presentations that I did over the last couple of weeks. Welcome to you guys. Great to have you on board. Hope you get something out of the show. It's not just me, of course. It is Ash who will be joining us very, very shortly. And today, being Monday, we have George along as well. Both of those gentlemen, of course, should be known to you all. If not, guess what? They will be after today. Let's get into it, shall we? Hi, Paul P. Great Monday to you too, mate. Let's get into it. And the usual protocol here, guys, or process, those of you who are here for the first time, is that we look for a trade on pound versus the US dollar. Oh, no, Ash is in early.
Hi,
I know what that means. Hey, bud.
No, mate, there is a potential trade on the Ftse.
Okay. Righto, let's do it.
So let me get you that first. I want you to go there, please. Go there, share that. Okay. It's for a long on the Ftse 100, and you can see my target isn't that high, only aiming for about 15 pips. Actually, yeah, so if you get in here, you'll be getting pretty much the same price. Basically, it's a bounce off the daily pivot. The weekly pivot may well be tagged today, so it might be that we get to the weekly pivot. Now, on Thursday, I got into a long, and the market fell. And the issue for you guys is that I hedged, and not only did I hedge, but I flipped positions. So where my initial plan was to buy back up at the weekly pivot, I didn't need to do that because I ended up hedging. So the point of saying that is that you guys, if you can't do what I'm doing when I'm not in front of the charts, you're going to need to put stop losses in place. So you've got two choices with this. You can either flip your stop loss under here, which makes the most sense. I don't like that gap particularly. That gap's not great. That's not going to help you much. But you can flip your stop loss under this price bar here. I'd go a few pips. I'd maybe go 5 pips under this particular bar, and see what the risk to reward ratio is there. It's probably not great. Now it's going to be an under a 1-to-1. So if you go any lower than that, then you're really talking about possibly making the trade not worth it. You know, the other option is to go under this particular bar here. But I think that and I don't usually go in this early. I wouldn't want to go in before the market's opened. But I quite like it when I look at this. You know, the trend line is getting a little bit more established. We're just above the daily pivot. We've had a massive move to the downside, and we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on as well. You know, we've got a little gap up so far today, but not aiming for a lot, as I say. I think that pivot, that weekly pivot, could be seen, and I suppose that's the other option you have, is put your stop loss a bit lower down here and aim for the weekly pivot instead, which will give you 31. It'll get you close to a 1-to-1 from the lows. That's the safest option. But I'm aiming for just first contact, so I'm only going to go in here. So the trade is long anyway, mate. How people manage the stop loss is going to be different to mine. So it's going to be a decision that everybody's going to have to make on their own.
All good, bud. Look, I've got some new people in today because of the slingshot presentations I've done for the past fortnight. So yep. I'm just going to counsel them that if they've got no idea what Ash is doing here, it's just don't do anything. Right, this is not anything related to the slingshot. But what I would suggest you do is watch and learn, which is what this show is all about. And if you've got any questions, of course, put them in the chat box. But if you've got no idea what Ash is doing here, then just stay out. That would be my counsel.
Yeah, it's a difficult one with a Ftse, isn't it, mate? Because I trade it. It's the market I trade. It's the one that it's my go-to. But the problem I think for most people is the management. The management is going to be so different to what is kind of known so far. And my management is quite personal as well. The way that I kind of treat the market is quite personal, because I'll stay in this. You know, if this drops down, I haven't got a problem. I probably won't get in at the lows again. Actually, I may, but I might. There's another level that I quite like. This just a little bit further down. I quite like it down here. That's probably I'll probably let it drop a little bit further rather than getting in right on the lows of this bar. I think there's a little bit further down to get in, but I'll call that out as well as we go, mate. Actually, the market looks very bearish. So if you're not in this trade, the signals do not look good. They look actually really poor at the minute. So might not be the best one to start your trading buddies journey with trading the FTSE. So if you're not in now, market's changed. I was willing to take a punt on it, and I'll hedge it out as I go. So I don't have a problem with that. And I'll talk about more why the FTSE for me is a long at this stage later in the show after you've done your stuff, mate.
All right, mate. Got a lot of questions for you today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. To do with COTS seasonals fundamentals, because there's got a few pairs that are at very important points, I believe. So we'll see how we're going. But first up, pound.
Oh, brilliant.
Now, I was explaining to the guys that are new that we're looking for a breakout trade on the pound at the open of London session. Now, what that means is not breaking out from the most recent range, but breaking out from the previous 24 hours, that being Friday's trading range, right? High of which is here, and the current day. So in other words, you're probably looking at about 30 odd hours that we're trying to ascertain a breakout from. Today, it doesn't look too bad from a size point of view. We've got the high of Friday there and the low of today there, 70 pips. Now we have a look and see what we can gain in the 70 pip category, because that's going to be our first take profit area. So if we trade the break short, have we got 70 pips up our sleeve? That high there is a bit of an issue, but we're bang on these lows here. I don't think that's the worst option, but going to the upside, I think we've got issues. Number one is we've got a daily pivot dead ahead that's untested. Then we've got a weekly pivot ahead of that, which is also untested. So the chances of getting through both of those in this session, I don't like too much. Not that we're just trading this session, we're actually trading the breakout. If we did that, it would give us momentum to go through the high of Friday, which is bang on the weekly pivot. That makes it tough, because the chances are you're going to get here, weekly pivot's going to act as resistance, you're going to bounce off it, and that won't be good. So I'm going to stay out. I don't think it's clear enough to trade it. So the answer is no for me today. Okay, to the weekly charts, and game changer bars were a little bit scarce this week, 4 of them, and they started with, if I'm not mistaken, Euro Aussie. For some reason, my Euro Aussie chart has disappeared. Well, that's okay. We can bring it back. Let's go to Euro Aussie. There it is. Game changer bar on the weekly chart. Yes, it's there and it's clear. I'll just make it a bit tighter so you can see it. So definitely a new low and closed on or near its high. I'm okay with that part. I'm also okay with, we've got a double bottom sitting here and potentially now a higher low. So that part of it looks good. Part of it that don't look good for me are trading straight into that trade line number one, but primarily, and I use the word advisedly, we're looking for a primary trend. And the primary trend, to my mind, if any, is not long. It's actually short, but it's arguable. And if that's the case, is there a primary trend? If there is no primary trend, why do we want to trade? So the answer for me is I don't want to trade this pair long on the back of a game changer bar. Yes, I see the double bottom. Yes, I see this as a potential higher low, but it may not be a higher low. It's only a guess at this point. So I'm saying no to that one. Euro Aussie. The next one is Eurocad. All my charts have disappeared there, though. There, Eurocad. Now, Eurocad, you know, I have an extreme bias to the downside. And of course, this is showing us a game changer bar on the weekly to the upside. One thing I do like about this is it's just taken out all the lows here, so potentially has gained some orders in stop losses. So anything going, pardon me, in the opposite direction will be a stop loss. The thing I don't like about it, again, is the trend, and the primary trend is very clear here. It's not long, short. So we're getting consistent lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. Don't have a lower high yet. So that potentially is where that game changer bar will take price. But where is that? It's probably there, I would imagine. So you've got 146.87 coming from down here. That kind of makes sense in terms of risk reward. So your risk could be 240 chasing 340. Is that really something we want to stay in for a long, long time? If it's been a weekly trade, we could be in that for a long, long time just to get one and maybe 1.25 out of it. And then if we take profit at strategic places, won't even be that. You also got this trend line that potentially will stop price, and the monthly pivot at a confluence area. So again, it's a no for me on Eurocad. The third is Euro Pound. Euro Pound is showing us, and I've been waiting on this to happen. I've been waiting on the price to get back into this range, and finally it has. I tried to preempt it a couple of weeks ago and got run over by price because I went too early. Simple as that. Now it's back in here. I see that we've got a potential trade, not today, but potentially tomorrow. If this candle tomorrow is an inside bar, well, it doesn't matter if it's an inside bar, it's going to be an inside bar, almost certainly. And if it retests this, where the daily pivot is today in the bottom of the channel, then I'll be looking to trade it long. The one thing I don't like about that, it's got a broadening pattern here and be at the top of it. That's not ideal, but I have been waiting on this for some time. And if it does set up tomorrow, I'll be looking to trade that long on the back of that little pullback bar. Last one. Sorry, mate.
Ftse's a winner. We just got to take profit on the Ftse.
Oh, awesome. Good man. Monday, another Monday one. Good boy.
Another Monday, yeah. Monday's good for us.
It is. Last one, Dollar CAD. Dollar CAD is, I actually don't mind trading Dollar CAD. I hate trading dollar yen, but Dollar CAD's okay. Not fussed again on this one. All the game changer bars this week, I'm absolutely not fussed on. I'd like your opinion, Ash, on why the CAD isn't in favor at the moment.
Well,
I see oil going gangbusters, although it is at resistance at the moment. And I do see the CAD coming off against a lot of the currency pairs or a lot of the other currencies. And I can't see why. Yeah. Is there a reason?
Well, I think the oil story is the issue. Oil. I mean, if you were to bring up a chart of oil, then let me just do the same. Little bit of weakness was coming in, sort of like towards the end of last week on oil. The Friday was okay actually, but Wednesday, Thursday wasn't so good. And as you say, we are at resistance on oil. I don't think the Russia story is really helping things out too much at this stage either, mate. Which is perverse in a lot of ways because you think that would boost the price of oil, and it probably will in the long run. But I think the oil story is a bit of an issue for the CAD right now.
Okay, interesting. I think it's a good thing because I believe in the CAD. I think the CAD's a good conveyance, and it may be giving us a good opportunity, pardon me, to buy it. That's the way I look at it. This chart, however, is quite interesting. because we've got a clear top in place here. And now we look to a broken, what appears to be a head and shoulders. Retest here looks interesting. So around about that level there, I think is all there is in a long here. And then I'll be looking to trade this short. I wonder if there's a trend line there that agrees with me. Yeah, I don't think it's too far away. So I think if I saw a price in this area, I think I'll be looking to trade this short. And interestingly, if I look at the dollar index is very, very similar, not too far away from resistance trade line or trend line. So the coincidence there won't be a coincidence, I don't think. We'll see. What am I saying? I'm saying, okay, we've got a game changer bar, certainly, and I think it's probably got merit for a short period of time only. So I wouldn't be trading that weekly game changer bar. I don't think it's a good conveyance. Therefore, I don't think any of them are terribly good. In terms of what I want to watch this week, I think there's some really interesting ones. How are we going? 11 minutes. I've got 4 minutes before George is due. So I think George is in the room, but we'll wait till 1:15 in case all his fans, gorgeous George fans, will turn up just on time, I'm sure. We'll see. The ones I'm really interested in this week, Aussie Dollar, I think is really interesting. And the reason I think Aussie Dollar is interesting, can't see that, can we?
Do you know, mate, I'm just reading up a couple of things about the CAD. Actually, yep. Their indications are for a bit more patience than some of the other majors. And that kind of puts it in a bit of a neutral zone, really, because we know the United States is under pressure. We know that the UK is probably under pressure as well. I mean, I haven't looked at oil against, the CAD against the other markets, but certainly against those two, doesn't look so healthy. Possibly even against the Kiwi, it might not look so healthy, but because of the potential patience that Macklem is proclaiming, he doesn't seem as ready to move as the Fed, and that could have a bit. It could be weighing on the CAD a little bit as well.
And as I said, I may have been on Thursday. I said I think they're all wrong, and I think probably he's right, and so is the RBA. Not yet, I think. They're going to go. There's no question they're going to go, in my opinion. So anyway, the reason I like the look of the Aussie at the moment against the dollar is this head and shoulders that's pretty clear to me. And there's a few things that we're already seeing. One of this, the monthly chart, mind you. One of them is this, where we've had a break. I know it's pretty tight, but we have had a break and retest of that support trade line. It's also the neckline, in my humble opinion. So if you've got a shoulder here, a head here, and a shoulder here, shoulder's actually been the neckline's actually been broken. I know it's barely, but it has, and it has been retested. I think there's worse trades to take than this one, but again, you're going to be in the trade for a long, long time. And you're probably going to hit support here. You might not get a real good ride, and you might have to go into a fair bit of drawdown before this takes off, if it does. But I am interested in it. So I think shorts are on the table. The weekly chart last week gave us a game changer bar. Did it? It's kind of a question mark, isn't it? Because it really hasn't closed on or near its low, but you could call it a reversal bar, in my humble opinion. And then it's been followed up by an inside bar, which is also a reversal bar. I'm not seeing a clear entry for me right now, because really what I want to see is a resistance area broken and that become a false break. So I'll be watching this like a hawk this week. I've got a trade line coming through here already. If that happened to be broken and we got back underneath it, I'd be all over this like a shark on a mackerel. So that's exactly what I'll be looking to do on Aussie dollar. Of course, if it breaks through that level, then the game changes. But at this point in time, I'm an Aussie dollar bear. Just need to wait for setup. at this point. And it may be a while to set up, that's for sure. It's 1:15, and I can see Gorgeous George here. I've got 3 more pairs that are really interesting to me, but let's get into Gorgeous George's stuff and say a wonderful hello to him. Happy Monday, mate.
It's a very happy Monday indeed, mate. How are you guys doing?
Look, not so dusty. Little birdie's telling me that we're 5 days away from a day of celebration for you.
My goodness, how did you pick that up? I'm suitably impressed.
Mate, I've got spies everywhere.
Yeah, January is a bit of a hard month for me to work. I mean, December, January is my famous CNA holidays, Christmas, New Year, and anniversary. Coming to work take a week to settle down. And then just as you're settling down, you got the birthday coming up.
Got another one. I like it. CNA. Fair enough.
You know. So yeah, it's going to be a big one. It's a big one. We like to celebrate these events. But,
good on you. Well, back to 40 again?
42.
No, you got to go backwards once you get it above 40.
38.
There you go. Perfect. Because life begins every time you hit 40, yeah, they tell me.
But no, I appreciate it. Thanks. Ash, how you doing, buddy? You okay?
Oh, I'm all right. Do you know what? I got COVID last week. I'm on Thursday. I don't know. I can't say it hit me like a train, but on Thursday I did a test and I came up positive with a COVID test. And Thursday and Friday I felt a bit rough. But Saturday and today and yesterday and actually the last few days I've started to feel a lot better. I think I got really lucky because I didn't have my vaccine until late last year. So I think it's kind of fought it off pretty nicely. But I've had a bit of a rough weekend. It's been a bit sort of, say rough. I've been sort of calling my girlfriend, a bit parched up here. I need a bit of refreshments because it's the worst thing about it for me has been it's been a bit boring. It's been a little bit boring.
Now, the isolation, I mean, gee, if you don't
that's been a bit boring.
If you're not used to your own company, you're in trouble, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been too bad. I've got my piano here, and the NFL was on in the evening, so the evenings were good, So I managed to kind of get some downtime, bit of Premier League football and stuff like that. So it's not hadn't been all bad. I can't really grumble, but yeah, it wasn't nice. I have to say, when you sort of see it on the test and it comes through and you got it, it's a bit of my stomach fell a bit. I was like, oh no,
I can imagine.
Not that big.
Deal with the emotions quickly and then settle down and just manage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. But well, good, man. Good to hear that you're coming out of it. Some guys struggle to get out of it, so that's
yeah, the same, mate. I think I got kind of lucky with my timing of the vaccination. It wasn't that long ago I had mine. It was only a couple of months ago, the last one, and that probably helps.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it does. I mean, I'm just taking everything. I mean, in March we due for our booster shots, so we're just gonna take them.
Yeah. He's loading up.
Yeah, look, I'll take a booster every week if I have to. It's okay. They might put a little bit of shot of whiskey in there, though.
Yeah, exactly. You pretty much take your own. They wouldn't want to survive in your body anyway, Jeff.
Down there.
Oh, Lord, goodness me.
George, is there anything trading wise we should be looking at apart from all this frivolity?
I was going to say there's nothing, but I guess there is in terms of for the first time, I think in a long time, I'm very bearish this week across all the markets that I'm looking at. I got to wait for the proper kind of setup. But there's nothing that I've seen out of all the 7 markets that is bullish for me so far. And remember, I'm always right 100% of the time, only 60% of the time. So I'm free to change my mind. If things change, I'll change my mind.
You forgot how to say that, George.
I must say that first.
You need to say you're 100% right 60% of the time. You just messed up your words there a little bit.
What did I say?
You said you're 100% right and I'm 60% right. So,
oh my goodness. I think it's a lingering COVID observation. I was watching my wife effect. So Ash, be careful the next few weeks, buddy. You'll be stumbling over your words.
Yeah, do you know? Yeah, I had a friend who said that's the same thing to me. It comes back, apparently.
So I'm short. Let me just rattle through them quickly. Just a point here. When we met last week, remember I was talking about, I think that was my first day, and I said I'm going to be bearish. Got into the doji, so I was rewarded, reasonably handsomely in that move. So I am still bearish now. Where am I bearish? We're back in a trading range. What I'm looking for, if I see, anything can happen today or tomorrow, an attempt to break out above that and a reversal back into the trading range, and I'm going to look to go short. Okay. Then, of course, I drill down to the 5 minute and look at that. Gold.
Euro is in all sorts of trouble, isn't it, George? Do you know, I was reading a really interesting article about the euro the other day about their main problem is the debt of those countries, and it's going to come and bite them. 2009, I thought the euro was going to be all over the Greece, Italy, in Spain, in all sorts of trouble, and they never got out of that. We're sort of a decade on from that, but they never ever cleared those debts. Italy, 150% north. 150% debt to GDP. I mean, it's just they cannot continue on that particular trajectory, and in the end, they may well suffer. But Germany will get pulled down into that as well. So the Euro project again is under pressure. Will they survive it? Probably, but it's under big pressure at the minute. And Christine Lagarde talking about tapering. What else can she do? She can't. I wouldn't have thought she could raise interest rates. Maybe she can, but I wouldn't have thought that is going to be affordable for those really those countries that are in huge financial difficulties like Italy and Greece. And if that's the case, then the euro, it's a short against the US dollar every day of the week, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, what you're saying is playing itself out here. If you are a bear, if you're thinking short, what are you looking for? A measured move just out of this little trading range is taking you down here. And then the next thing is to attack the low of last year. So,
yeah.
What we've seen on the chart is exactly what the fundamentals are saying. So that's good news, at least.
Yeah.
But what I then want to see, I'm not just going to jump in, because remember I'm trading off the 5 minute. I want to see that attempt to break out above that, try and catch that first move. And then if it goes down, then I'll be looking for pullbacks and just see how far we can take it down. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. You want to see some psychological defeats.
Say that again.
You want some of the bulls to get defeated on their attempt.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you still got bulls yet. I mean, they're defending this. That's what this is all about. They're trying to defend the low of last year. But they really have to have the strength to do that. Now, what it means, if let's say I do get an entry, try to break out above that, what I really want to do is take that early trade that creates a tail. Okay, that makes sense. I want to take that and then come down with it. But even when we get down here, it doesn't mean if I'm now down on the daily and I see my previous day's low, this red line come up and I see a breakout, I'm just going to jump in. You might still create a bit of a tail and come back. So you always have to keep all your wits about you so that you don't make money, lose it, make money, lose it.
Yeah,
We want to create wealth, take wealth out of the market. So we must just be steady and careful.
Yeah, I like how measured that is.
So, I mean, gold, again, looking to go short very quickly. I'm not going to go look for any shorts. So I'll stay on the daily until I see it. If I see like this bull candle, if it attempts to break above that, that's Friday's high, and gets to that level, or even if it's a huge candle, I mean, I'm going to look to take that turn and try and see if we get down here. So perfect.
That's interesting, mate. So really, I mean, because obviously they're very different markets. Gold is in a bull trend on the daily, on the minor charts, and we've got the euro in a downtrend on the minor charts. But you're quite happy to look for the shorts in either of them. Because with
Yes.
gold, you'd be trading the retracement, I presume.
That's it. So I always start off, looking at the daily time frame
Mhm.
and seeing where I want to get my, I hate to say bias, but where I want to see these turning points, because I'm really trying to just get the trades that give me the huge returns first 2, 3, 4 times, etc. before I start to look for pullbacks in the day. I mean, I could easily jump into a day and just trade it. That's the 5-minute trader. That's very easy without even worrying about what's happening up here. Just put high of yesterday, low of yesterday. So when that comes into view, you manage it. And you can just trade it up, trade it down. But, I've kind of switched from, trying to make percent here or percent there and just try and get these big bombs explode in my favor.
Oh,
That's
really?
why,
Okay.
yeah, if it gets up here and I see it failing, starting to turn, if I go to the 5-minute, I can get 10 pip, 20 pip stop easily. And on the day, you might end up saying, wow, look at that day. That day was 60, 100 pips. But I could have got in and hold my first trade for the rest of the day and trade a lot of pullbacks within the day as well. So that's the kind of approach I have. So
Right.
these daily setups, like what's happening here is beautiful. I mean, you've got that descending trend line. You've got that, that's a breakout candle broke beneath that level. So that high is a big market that can pull the market up. Probably can see that as well. We failed to break out above that. This line here is just a measured move of Friday's move. So there's a lot of resistance building up here, and that's what I want to wait for. So might get it today if we get some huge move, but I'm just going to watch and see what happens. Oil, it's very interesting. I mean, that's the high of last year. That thick line. I've just put in, again, measured move. If we break above Friday's, we had a gap up today. But for me, where we are right now, it's not saying that the market is going to go any further because I really need, there's no momentum, if you think about it, above the break of last year. Okay, if we had a couple of strong bull candles, pull back, then we can look to go long. So I'm looking short as well, but I'm not going to jump in here. It's trying to close the gap that it created. I just want to see an attempt by the bulls to see them trying to break above, each of these highs. And then if it starts to turn, I'm going to trade it. Okay, remember, I'm trading the 5 minutes to trade it, where that comes and bounces off here. Very happy to do that.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Hang Seng 50. Again, I am looking for short. Now, this is interesting. You could think, oh, hang on a second. If you're looking for short, then you must just go and sell beneath the bear candle. But that would not be a way to trade it, because this whole move here, first leg, second leg 1, pullback leg 2, okay, that's the resistance level where it ended. If you measured, let's just put it in for the guys quickly. So that's trading range of the pullback, again, that's a measured move. So for me, what I want to see, I can't go short here, okay? What I want to see is an attempt by the bulls to resume the trend, and then a possible failure here, okay? Because an inside candle is a breakout mode candle. It means market will break out one or the other. So when I see this breakout here, I am anticipating that it will fail, bounce off here or even off the EMA, and then attempt to come up at this level. Then I'm going to look to sell and see if we can get a trading range, or break out below. So again, bearish. I'm going to wait for this setup to come. S&P 500. Let's just do this.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on this one?
So if you look at this trading range here, okay, the measured move of breaking beneath that trading range is down here, right? And down here, you also, if you look at, this is Friday's candle. We can now talk about that shortly. measured move beneath that is going to take us down to here. We just have, now you got 5 bear candles, might get a pullback, etc. Now, what's interesting about this? The reason I'm bearish on this is we created a trading range here, but look at the breakout. You always want to see breakout and the follow through. Micro double top, so it's not an outside candle, which is good. If it was an outside candle, then it's just a trading range, then probably might expect price to go sideways. But we broke beneath this trading range quite well. Then we had a follow-through candle breaking below that and closing on its low. So that for me is good. But where are the bulls? I mean, the bulls gave us all of the momentum that we've had coming up here. So I'm not going to just go short beneath here. I want to see if the bulls are going to try and challenge or try and break back into that trading range. Okay, because this is a huge break in the structure of the market compared to the momentum we had last year. So first price for me is for the bulls just to give us, a test, and hopefully not an outside candle, just a double top right here. And moment if they do that and start to create a tail, I'm going to jump in to that tail and manage my stop. If the day ends, we're still in a bit of a bull body, I'll make sure that at least that trade is in break even. These are one of the trades I'll be happy to just carry on to the next day.
I think they'll try, mate. Do you know, it's we're getting into earnings season as well. We got a few big companies this week. Microsoft being one of them. Netflix had an absolute shocker last week. But we got Microsoft, I think Apple, Google. We got some big names reporting. But the thing is, it almost becomes a bit of a mute earnings season, this one, because it's the last one before the interest rate hikes, and it's the last one really before they accelerate the tapering program. So the numbers may well be inflated, which suggests that there might be some traders that look at those numbers and push the price up, and then the banks come in and go, we're not trading these numbers, we're trading the next numbers, and it's time to push that down, because it's the next numbers that are going to start getting affected. Because that's when the rate hike comes in. Rate hike March, next numbers April, and I think that's when we might start to see the bears able to kind of really enjoy the move that's possibly already happened by then. Yeah.
So I mean, if you just look at it, so we had that correction. We spoke about it at length last time. We also spoke about this. So everything here is kind of indicating, the break in momentum by the bulls.
Yeah.
And now the question is, are we just going to have a huge trading range that comes down here and goes up? But in any case, if I look at what's possibly likely to happen is, this trading range here, it's going to get up to here, which still fits with just the hypothesis of a trading range coming up. But if that unfolds, I mean, next couple of days.
Nice looking chart, that. Nice looking chart.
I'm just thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I've got,
looks like a massive head, doesn't it? It's headed for that neckline.
It's 3 little Indians. It's got a beautiful trend line up, or trade line going up there that's got 3 low test bars on it. That's a trade for me. It's got a dominator break of that trade line. Man, oh man, I have to start trading this thing.
Probably not a bad time to do it, mate. And I think you can probably pick and choose when you get into these indices, because I think sometimes they probably are good environments for your strategy.
Yeah, that looks gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Sorry, George.
Yeah,
gorgeous, George.
I'm absolutely just waiting, keeping on my bearish cap, and if I see it, then I'm just gonna jump in. I mean, if the bulls are strong enough to try and to get to break above that, they're still gonna defend. It's gonna break through that trend line, that 10 EMA. Remember, I use it to determine the momentum in the market. And with 4 strong candles, the bulls will have to trade that break above that. But if they bounce off it, I'm going to be in there taking, a trade with hopefully, short pips or whatever it is in terms of stop. So that's looking neat. It's folded up nicely. UK 100. Very interesting. So what am I looking for? Again, a short, but I'm not doing anything until we come back and try and test that level. Okay, that's important for me. And if I get that kind of test, because right now, remember when I put these measured moves, I have the high, the low, and the full extension, but there is a 50% level. I mean, the market is at the 50% level. That's always a magnet, on these charts, from a price action perspective. So if we end up with a kind of inside doji candle, beautiful, that's even better, because if I get a break above that, most breakouts above trading ranges, they fail, then definitely I want to jump in right at the top. And if any tail is created and a break beneath that, I want to be my first trade. That's the most important one. All of them are important, but in terms of being able to get, very good returns, that's important for me. So a break above that and a test, then I'm jumping in. Finally, Nikkei 225. Now, this is probably what I'm talking about throughout all these charts. You see the way we're getting a bull candle here. That's pretty good for me. If I get here, I'm going to go and keep a watch on my 5 minutes and wait for that reversal. If I get a reversal, I'm definitely going to sell. And best of the days, we may get a huge day coming down here. Not so good. Might still end up down here with but still a reversal candle, tail on top. And then that first trade I'll hold on to tomorrow. Pullback trades during the day, I close them. Okay, because the stop is likely to get hit on an early morning retracement. But that first trade I'll hold on to. So this is probably one of the earliest ones I'm looking for shorts. But definitely it's not always that all 7 charts I'm looking at shorts, but that's what I'm looking at.
You know what I mean? I think that's fascinating. You got the Nikkei, you got the Ftse, you got the S&P, you got oil, all of them looking for downside, which are all risk-on products. So the charts are telling you that we are definitely in a risk-off environment, and sentiment is weak right across the board, which is that's a loud signal, I think, when you've got so many that are lining up and saying the same thing. It's not often that you see that.
No, it's not, and I think some guys can do it, but for my kind of brain structure, that's why I just shut off the news completely.
Yeah, I like that.
Because the charts can tell you something, and if you listen to the news, it might indicate something. Then you kind of start to doubt yourself. So for me, I would rather just say, okay, this is what it's telling me. I don't even worry that it's illogical. If that's what the chart is telling me for now, that's what
I think that's really good, mate. Do you know what? It took me a long time to decipher which parts of the news that I should absorb, because you're right, like 90% of it is just fluff and fill. Because they're on air 24/7, so they've got to make stuff up.
No,
and they do, and they do.
Yeah. So
I told you before. I know of a bloke who gets paid $1,000 a week just to give a one follow this in an industry. So any company, all he's got to do is give a company. That's all he's got to do. And he said, well, it might not be there every week. And they said, well, we don't care, just make it up. I'm not joking, that's serious.
No, mate, that's what it is, isn't it? I mean, how did Bloomberg manage to stay on air for that long? They could literally get, it's a bit like many books where if they condense the book into more like a comic, you'd get everything, all the good stuff from the book. You don't need all the other stuff around it. And that's what it's like with some of these news channels. They could probably get everything they need to tell you done within half an hour with a few updates throughout the day. But that's not going to make them a lot of money. I mean, how are they going to ring an advertiser and go, right, we've got we've got this channel. It's on half an hour every day. We don't know when it'll be on, but it'll be on half an hour every day.
Man.
So I think you're right.
Clarity.
George.
It's all about clarity, George. And if you're clear doing what you do, then that's all that counts. And,
Yeah,
you know, you've got to have your own set of certainties, whatever that may be.
Yes.
And it could be anything. And if it's 100% fundamental, happy days. If it works, it works. Who cares?
yeah, I agree with that. And it doesn't matter how much you make, as long as you make.
That's exactly
True
it.
story.
That's exactly
Buddy,
it.
thank you so much. And
problem.
we won't be talking to you before your 38th birthday, sorry.
Yes.
So have a
I
wonderful
know.
time with that, and
Yes, thank you.
enjoy
Thank you
enjoy
very
the
much.
family.
Yes, thank you very much. And thanks to Paul, just passed on your message there. So thanks, buddy. All right, guys, we
See you
will
next week,
see
buddy.
you.
Good to see you, George.
Well, I'm still
Oh,
working
you've got
on
a show on
Wednesday.
Wednesday, of course.
Yeah, I'm still working on Wednesday. So chat on Wednesday. Hopefully we'll have a lot of action. I mean, the news on Wednesday is right in the evening, my time, so it's quite late. But let's hope we've made some good progress by then. But I'm sure we'll chat then, guys. Take care.
Sure you will. Happy days,
Listen,
mate.
George.
Yes. Okay. Bye-bye.
Ash, do you want to show your winner? And then I'll go on with my other 3 watch listers.
Yeah, let's do that. Then let's talk about it.
And David, we've got to talk about pound yen. Yes, we do.
Okay, pound yen too. I mean, there's not really much to share in a lot of ways. It kind of, you know, we kind of we got in, we got out when we're done, and it's really how can I sort of most important thing is that I'm trying to give you guys something rather than just sort of saying, look, I've got a winner, because that doesn't really make anybody feel particularly good unless you're in it. And it doesn't really it doesn't help. So let's
slingshot there too. Bloody hell! I've just started.
Let's have a think about what the picture was saying. So my mindset this morning was that we've got Bank of England out on February the 6th, is it, or 4th or 2nd? I'm not sure, but it's pretty close. You know, we've got the Bank of England out very, very soon on interest rates. Now that should squeeze some things that are going on in the market. One of the reasons that the market seemed to dive to the downside is some of the tensions that are transpiring in Ukraine, on the Ukraine border. Amongst other things, but the other things were really priced into the market. Now, when that story calms down a little bit over the weekend and it doesn't blow up, then it suggests that we might get a dead cat bounce, and that's all it is really. So when I look at the charts and I'm sort of like, you know, it's coming in down here. Let me change this to a clean one. I'm just waking up in the morning and I'm saying, what direction am I going to try and go trade the open? That's really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to trade the open because it's got the highest volatility, and I should get a relatively quick response. So the great thing about trading, one of the amazing things about trading, and one of the reasons I love it so much, is feedback. You make a decision and you get instant feedback on whether your decision is a good decision or a bad decision. So the best way for me to get the quickest feedback is if I trade the market when it's got most participation, and most participation tends to happen within the first hour of the UK Open. So that's why I trade the UK Open. And normally I would wait for the UK Open, but when we were down here, I was just looking at this and I was thinking, well, I was on this 15-minute chart, and this is going to be something that you guys will learn if you watch us for a while. That I always look, or with my eyesight goes almost straight away to this pattern, and it's an inverted head and shoulders, or a head and shoulders pattern. I'm looking for these reversal patterns. So this was the inverted head and shoulders here, and as soon as I saw the inverted head and shoulders, then I'm looking for confluence. You know, what else is likely to kind of get me into this trade, and this is when I bring in my pivot. So let's get rid of this. So the pivot was also on the inverted head and shoulders. You can see that the daily pivot was on that inverted head and shoulders. So now I've got a level to bounce off. You know, all I need to know is at support or resistance. My question to myself is, do I go long? Is it going to hold, or is it going to break? And I made the decision that it was going to hold. And then because of a lack of further news that was kind of due. Now that's only at the open. This is changing actually quite fast, and it might come further down. But just on the open, my initial sort of thought was, will it hold or will it break? And my initial decision was it will probably hold. It's done pretty well to get us here for the open. Then it will probably hold on the open. So this creates a buy zone for me, and that's enough of a signal for me. I don't need to see bars per se. The bars, the way that all these bars are forming is kind of telling me that the price is holding anyway. I don't need a specific bar to enter on the way I trade it. Then after that, it's about targets, and my target is always first contact. And first contact to me looked like that was a point there, that was a point, that was a point. And I look at closing prices more than I do the tails or first. Then if there's tails that back it up, then all the better. There's a close there, there's a close there, close there, close there. So that was my first contact level, which is why I was aiming for, and I rounded it up actually to 74, 25. So that was my decision there. Weekly pivot may well be seen at some point, and I appreciate that, but I didn't think that was any good. And you can also see that there are other things here, like there's this trend line that is poking through. So all this stuff is just telling me that I have a support line, and then I've just got to make a decision. I'm always trying to trade off support, or I'm always trying to trade off resistance, and I've just got to make a choice of, at this support level or at this resistance level, is it a break or a hold? And this scenario, I plumped for the hold. The other thing is, of course, on a Monday morning, the market does tend to reverse an extreme move from the Friday. So all these things, that's a little bit down to experience, and I only trade the Ftse, so it's quite easy for me to get experienced with this because I'm only trying to absorb one piece of information, or on one market. So that's the trade, mate. And as the day goes on, other people will be getting involved, but that's not my game. My game is trade the open, come out of first contact.
Awesome, buddy. When I look at that H1 chart, I think, OMG, there's no way I could trade that. But on your 5-minute chart, I can see some wonderful setups from me.
Yeah, and actually, talking of that, the what you were just saying there, I got in long. If anybody remembers, on Thursday, I got in long on the Ftse, and my idea was to continue to buy it up. But the problem was the picture then starts to change. I don't know if anybody can see this, but just as I was seeing this inverted head and shoulders that I pointed out on the 15, look at this. Now I've got a head and shoulders pattern, and anybody that's inexperienced here. This is the left shoulder. This is the head. This is the right shoulder. So all of a sudden, now my normal position would be hedge this out. Just hedge it. And hedging it means to me, rather than, I don't use a stop loss, I will hedge it by going, I'll put on the same amount, but going in the opposite direction. So I've lost a chunk of money on the gap. So let's say I've gone long here, but I've had to go short here. This whole gap now is a loss. But what ended up happening was I didn't bother. I hedged it initially, but as the thing sort of like started to progress, I was like, this is a short. This isn't a long at all. So I just went short instead. And by the time you kind of get down a little bit, you've made this gap back, and then you get down a little bit more, and then you've made money on the day. So I managed to get out of that one, mate. I managed to put a bit of a Batman on it and get away from the shackles. But it was, it could have gone quite bad. And this is one thing about the way I trade. I won't use leverage on my first trade. So this gives me some room to be able to do that. Anybody that's trading at 1%, you cannot hedge. It's just silly, So it is a bit of a difficult thing, but yeah, as you say, difficult one, mate. But actually, I could see that there was just something moving. I looked at the other charts. I looked at the Nasdaq, the S&P. I looked at the dollar and the VIX, and things were just looking weaker and weaker. And it was time to kind of decide, I was wrong, and the money was actually in the opposite direction. So I flipped out.
Yeah, look, trading price action is a skill that's learned not by turnkey operations. It's very much a case of experience and charts and charts and charts and charts and just being in front of them all the time. And that's why I gave that caveat earlier. If I've put anyone off taking that trade, I don't apologize, because you've got to understand what you're doing. And Ash is completely at ease with what he's doing. But I don't suggest that anyone in this room who is new to trading would have anywhere near that level of understanding of that chart that Ash does. So that's why I gave that caveat earlier. And again,
yeah, that's right, mate. And it's only this chart. It's only the Ftse. I'd probably be able to do something similar on the Nasdaq, but there are very few others that somebody would bring up, and I'd have the same intimacy. I know the Ftse very, very well. You know, it's the thing that I look at all the time, and it's my go-to. But the key with it is the money management. And if anybody's new, I don't know if the slingshot guys that you've got in are new, mate, but if anybody's new, you get your money management right, i.e., don't chase it, don't get greedy, just make a little bit of money as you go, then you're going to be absolutely fine. But if you try and hit the ball out of the park on any of your trades, you're going to get yourself into trouble. It's a terrible, terrible habit, and it's not the way to go. You know, we can make money out of this market, but let's just take just a little bit of, let's take some small bites. A bit like a crocodile doesn't eat a buffalo in one sitting.
Holy shit. There are a few things I need to look at before we go any further. And before we close, sorry. Pound yen. Now, David, we spoke about pound yen last week, and I can't remember if you were long or short, but I think the counsel was from us, or from me certainly, that I didn't want to go long. I wanted to wait for a lower high. And I'm on pound yen now. Am I good to take screen, man?
You are, mate. Yeah. Yeah.
You've got it. It's okay. It doesn't matter. If you go to the weekly chart, what I see there is pretty clear to me. And I love three little Indians. And there I see three little Indians. So what are three little Indians? I can see a big false break 3 times in a row. One there, and one there. Now that's suggesting to me, apart from the fact that you've got a clear double top there, that the range that preceded those false breaks, which is also pretty clear, there's a whole lot of noise in underneath those 3 breakouts. That suggests to me, there's a rectangle coming across there, exactly. So that range, if it is re-entered, which looks likely at the moment, will, in my humble opinion, break to the downside. So that would be the trade I'd be looking for. I'd be looking to trade this ultimately short, but we're on a weekly chart, right? So I don't know at this point whether that's going to come back into that range or not. It could bounce off the top of that range without question. But I'm certainly not looking to trade it long at this point. I'll be waiting for price to get back into that range to trade it short. If you're talking about a short-term time frame, then I can completely see that we've got a bottom to contend with at the moment. So an hourly chart will give you a support level. And that support level coincides with the top of the rectangle, right? So to me, there's no trade there right now. Wait and see what happens next. We're at what I call a confluent area, and not a confluent area, I can't think of the name. I always get stuck on this one. It's a level of determination, let me put it that way. Something's going to happen here, but I don't know what that is just yet. I'll wait and see what happens, then I'll react. But my absolute bias is for downside on pound yen, but it's got to get underneath that horizontal level first, in my humble opinion. Yeah. So you're looking to trade on a 15-minute chart, and your preference is for short-term longs. I'd agree with that if I was trading on a 15-minute chart, but I'm not. So I can only give you my humble opinion. You got an opinion, Ash?
Well, to be honest, I thought your opinion summed it up really nicely. I think my problem with the pound yen, and it's, this is where we sort of part waves a little bit, is that, if you're looking at this as a technical chart, then I think the short-term move looks to be long. But my problem is that there are things coming with the pound. And so I'm looking a bit more like, towards what happens on the 1st of February. The seasonal chart on the pound is absolutely atrocious right now. It really is probably one of the weakest seasonal charts that we've got of any of the currencies. So I've got a little bit of a short bias. If I'm honest, if I was looking at this, because I've got a bit of a short bias, I don't know what's going to go on February the 2nd or February the 4th, or whenever it is. But that meeting in February. But there is a suggestion that they may well raise interest rates. But what if they don't? I think my preference would be, and it's not an easy decision for these guys to do, raising interest rates, because they could really choke things down. Have I just lost this? No, I've lost this now. Sorry, my MT4 is totally frozen.
That's right. While you're sorting that out, I mean, we've just discussed what George was seeing, and George was seeing overall a risk-off scenario, and I'm seeing that in currencies also, which means that the yen is generally going to be strong. If that's the case, and the pound is due to weaken, then there's probably no better pair to be trading, apart from Aussie yen maybe. But I think the Aussie's got credentials. The pound doesn't have many at the moment, so I'd certainly be looking to trade pound yen short.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was going to show you a short-term chart so we could see if we could get a boost to the upside. But I quite like your analysis. Get it in there, because the thing about getting it inside the boxes, it's also then going to be under this monthly pivot, which means if it comes under it and then retests it, it looks better to look for that to the downside. I can't even close this thing now. Okay, got a tech issue here, mate. Everything, my internet's open and the my browser's open, but for some reason MT4 is completely stopped allowing me to select anything.
Do you want me to take the screen?
Yeah, it might be better.
Okay. Are we done with pound yen, or you still want to make a comment on
it? No, I think so. I think what you've said is good and not. There we go. Do you know what? It was Zoom. It wasn't my MT4.
Okay, Zoom. So, David, I hope that that gives you some insight as to what we're looking at. Am I looking to trade it right now? No. But
yeah, do you know what, mate? Sorry to be a pain, but if you could bring up the pound yen.
Yeah, I think that's pound yen on H1. What do you want on?
H4 will be good.
There you go.
H4. So, yeah, do you know what I like is what I'd be looking for is that there's actually a pivot. There's a weekly pivot on there as well. But if you draw a trend line, yeah, go on then, get the weekly pivot on there. Yeah, that white one. If you draw a trend line, you see the low. Now there's a little tail low, and it is on the 6th. It looks like the 8 o'clock bar on the 6th of the month.
6th of the month, 8 o'clock bar. We're in here somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, one back.
That one
there. Yeah, and then extrapolate that to the right. Lower it down a bit, yeah. So it just up, so it touches. I don't really mind that, so it can go through the closing of that there. Yeah, that seems to be more touches there. You see how that's got confluence with that weekly pivot? Yep. That to me looks like a lovely area to try the shorts. Now, I'm not saying that it wouldn't still be a decent shout to try and get the long up to that point. You could maybe even go long to try and go short, because the monthly pivot, there's nothing suggesting it should break that level right now. The Boris Johnson story, by the way, is cleared up, so that isn't a driver for downside pound.
Okay.
Yeah, just so far, mate. I don't think he'll last long, but he's certainly got a stay of execution anyway. So I think maybe a pop up with a pound is fine, but I'd be much more interested to look at shorts in the pound for around that weekly pivot area, because that trend line's there. You just drew a horizontal level as well, which looks pretty good. So I quite like that particular point, and that's what I'd be looking at myself: a retracement and then a short.
No argument from me. Okay, David, we're on the same page over here, I think. Okay, there were three. Did I get to Eurocad? I'm not sure I did.
You did talk about Eurocad.
Now, Eurocad, I'm an absolute bear Eurocad, no question about that. However, I do see a short to medium term potential opportunity here. That one there scares the bejeez out of me, I've got to say. And if anyone's offended by bejeez, on my apologies. I could swear, but I won't.
Getting much worse.
What I see at the moment is a clear false break forming. This can't look any better, really. It's taken out the lows here, and I won't go into my theory about taking out lows, but what I will say is that if I were to draw on a chart, in fact I've done it, those guys who have done the slingshot stuff, if you're looking for a classic false break, this is it. Break, consolidate, re-entry above the trade line. All we need now is the fourth component of that, and that is this to be a bearish bar here. So if this is a bearish bar, and even if it doesn't, but certainly if it does, it's come off the pivots already. See how the pivots are all, well, the weekly and the daily are sandwiched close together there. Excellent bounce point. Excellent bounce point. I would love this to close below them, maybe at this level here, this current candle on the daily. So I'll be watching this like a hawk tomorrow. And if this is a bearish candle, I'll be putting an entry above today's bar and looking for monthly pivot. In the first instance, looking for this confluence area as a target. And after that, I don't care what happens. I think that's absolutely the trade I'm looking for on Eurocad this week. Don't know why the CAD's weak. Ash gave us an opinion on that a little bit earlier. Euro Swissy is the next one. Now, this is amazing, absolutely amazing. And those of you who weren't around in 2015 probably won't know why it's amazing. But when I go to this chart and go a little bit wider, here's what's the amazing part. In January of 2015, the euro was decoupled from the Swissy. And price moved something like 2,000 pips in 30 minutes or something like that. It was horrendous and ridiculous. It closed there. That crash closed. There's the candle there. That's a monthly chart. But if I went to an hourly chart, it wouldn't look much different. But now, guess where we are? There's that line. Guess where we are? We're exactly at that level.
That is fascinating, mate. And as I said earlier on, the euro area is in all sorts of trouble, and it is rearing its ugly head yet again. And you know, this is one of those, isn't it? You got to ask yourself again, as with every point in trading, is it going to hold or is it going to break? And if this breaks, it's going to. I mean, forget what the technical aspect is. If this breaks, this is telling you something significant about the structure of the euro.
Absolutely. But I've got to say, I'll be stunned if it breaks straight away.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it won't, but I'll be stunned if we don't get a bounce here of some kind. And that's what I'd be looking for at the moment. So I certainly won't trade it as a guess, but I'll be looking for something that suggests here that there's a little bit of upside. Now, where that goes to is anybody's guess, but, you know, as a technician, I'll be going for the first level of resistance above there. But I think it's fascinating that we are at that level right now.
Yeah, agreed. Head and shoulders there as well, mate.
Yep.
John's saying, will it force the interest rate higher in the Eurozone? And I don't know how it can. I mean, it's the problem, isn't it? You know, but all of these economies are in big trouble. Do we have a out of control inflation, or do we actually break some economies? It's the banks. The banks in the Eurozone are so heavily leveraged. That's what's causing the problem. And you know, that they put these interest rates up and cause it to cause those banks in a squeeze. Then you're going to see companies go down. Really, at some point, they're going to have to, I would have thought the only option is to stand back and go, clear it up yourselves. You know, this is the jungle. So survival of the fittest. If you have messed up your balance sheets, then the bailouts can't continue. Because if they continue to bail out the banks, they continue to bail out these failing companies, ultimately they're going to need bailing out. Because the countries can't survive. As I say, Italy, terrible situation. Over 150% GDP, mate. I mean, that's, you imagine that in your household.
Yeah, ouch.
You're borrowing more by over 150% than you're bringing in every month. I mean, is that a survivable situation?
Negative, good buddy.
Right, and then they say we're going to put the interest rate up on that, and you'd be going, what? Bye, Alison. Just off down to the river.
Whoops. Jeez, I hope that bamboo stands up. Look, there might be a way to trade this. So the head and shoulders that Ash was talking about is pretty clear. And if that's the case, there's the neckline. And if that's the case, we're already bouncing off it. So I would dearly like that candle to turn into a green one. And that might well be my next monthly trade. Euro Swissy short on the back of that. But gee whiz, this is in an absolute pivotal position.
Yeah. Pivotal for the Eurozone. It's amazing what the charts tell you, isn't it? The charts can tell such a good story, actually.
Yeah, totally.
Such interesting stories, and that's really where we're at right now. I mean, to be fair, the head and shoulders isn't in the nicest place on the chart, but
no, it's out of context. That's true.
Yeah,
that is true, but it's there. Righto.
Yeah.
Speaking about Euro, and I mentioned this before, and it doesn't look like it's going to play ball at this point in time, but I need a bearish bar here on Euro Pound to trade it long. And why would I trade it long? Well, because the chart's telling me, and only for that reason, it's telling me it's time for a retracement. And it could go to here, could go to here, but at this point in time, it's not telling me to go at all.
That's the thing, isn't it, mate? You know, all this stuff is all well and good. All the fundamental stuff is all well and good, and you know, it does play out, but it doesn't. We're not saying it's going to play out tomorrow. So you still get moves, you know, against. It's like the same with the S&P and the Nasdaq. You know, it's really the writing's on the wall for those markets. In my opinion, the Nasdaq's coming down, but it doesn't mean that I don't think there'll be a bounce.
Pass. No idea. But I'll tell you what, when I saw that chart that George put up, man, have a look at this. Have a look at this. This is amazing. Like I said, there's three little Indians sitting there as well. But there's also, I can't remember what chart he had up. Must have been daily. It could have been anything. Again, three little Indians, three false breaks to the upside. This one, a massive one, created a head and shoulders.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should go slower for those of you who are new. Let me use a pen. Pen. Come on. There you go. So again, false break, false break, false break of this range. Whoops, that's a bit off. But anyway, there it is. So you can see that one, I'm sure. Then we go and have a look at double top, lower high, green bar across the weekly pivot. Holy dooly. That's something I take every day of the week. That bar right there. Then I've got a trade line that's giving me low test bar, low test bar, low test bar, low test bar. That's something I take every day of the week also. Then, apart from that, I've got a dominant break of a trade line after a reversal pattern and a lower high. I trade that every day of the week. My God, where have I been? That's all too easy, isn't it, in retrospect? And we're great traders in retrospect. I reckon we're all geniuses in retrospect, but you can't make this up, right? You can't say that those patterns don't exist. They're there. They're absolutely there. And they were telling you that that was going to happen. And sure enough, that happened. Did I trade it? Did I make money from it? No, because I don't even look at it. And apart from that, I get an hour with you guys, and I get half an hour in the morning. That's it. That's all I can trade at the moment. So a lot of opportunities going west. There you go. Yeah. That's the way it is.
Well, if it made you feel any better, mate, I did get on board with that. Not this one, but the NASDAQ.
You didn't, did you say?
I did. I managed to get a short on the NASDAQ. And
okay, so I'll just send you an account. What should I?
Yeah, like you. It looked obvious, you know. And
give me half. You give me half.
But the fundamental picture was pretty decisive for these markets. So you know, there was an opportunity to take. I mean, I've been calling for the NASDAQ short for, I don't know, a couple of months now. And you know, and I was really waiting for the new year to start, and it has started to play out. But I still think there's more to go. I mean, you know, George was showing this, and you can see it a little bit there. There's a left shoulder just out of picture. We're currently in the head, so you know, I think that there's a chance that we get a bounce back up to create the right show. So there's the head, the right left shoulder. Here. That's the head, yeah. So where your arrow is.
That's your head.
The whole thing. So going down.
Left this is your head, right? Yeah. There's your left shoulder.
So that's left shoulder there. So that means we've got a right shoulder to make.
Which could be anywhere in this zone.
Exactly.
Or maybe even if I extrapolate that, maybe even up here somewhere. Who knows?
It could be. Yeah. I mean, that would give you some confidence too.
Yeah.
It looks to me like that the start of it might be the bar to the right of where you started. It may be just a little bit shallower, more shallow. So we might be on the See,
that's your
that
one. Yeah.
And go left one more. Yeah, drag that one there to there. Yeah. I wonder whether that's where we're actually at now. We're at the end of the head.
In there somewhere. Yeah,
coming right. Yeah, there. Yeah, so maybe a little bit further to go. And where you've got your horizontal level, that's where I'd be aiming for the right shoulder.
Maybe a little bit lower, maybe there.
A little bit lower. It might not even. But you might have been right first one. But I think the point is that a bounce is hopeful. If we get the bounce, then the bounce is going to be eaten up. I think for a right shoulder, if things are playing out the way they appear to be playing out this year, what's going to give it a boost? We don't know yet.
It seems like it's been months, if are we into years? I'm not sure. Where we've been waiting for something like this to occur.
Yeah.
And now there's a very strong. So this is the strongest bar. I'm on a weekly chart, but if you go to a monthly chart, this is the strongest pointer that has been since where I've gone back to 2015. I could probably go even further. In fact, this started in 2009 or 10 from my memory. But that is clearly the strongest bar since 2000, or since the global financial crisis, right? Yeah. That's the strongest selling bar that we've seen on a monthly chart. Interesting. But
it is, mate. It is. I mean, you know,
a pullback's got to get you interested, hasn't
it? It's got to be, because you know, I think on the basic level, the most basic level, I can't see how you can get companies that have overinflated prices all of a sudden having a massive shock as the Fed starts to raise interest rates, how is that not going to affect these companies' profits and top line and balance sheets? And if that's the case, at some point everybody will wake up and go, maybe we paid a bit too much for these. Actually, might be time to get out and go somewhere else. There's so many things that we could go through that would suggest that this rally that we've had moving in the way that it's been moving has been, which we've been saying for many a month, but the rally has been overinflated and just false. Just a fake rally in some respects. I mean, it went a long way to be fake, but it's not sustainable. It was never sustainable.
Look at that. Lewis is on the ball. He traded that lower high short.
Nice.
Beautiful, mate. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
That is good.
And there was your right shoulder again.
Yeah.
And
there's patterns within patterns, isn't there?
These are 3 little Indians right there as well. Bang, retest. Gee, it's easy, isn't it?
Yeah. John
So
got
easy.
some of this too. In fact, a few people in the show got some of this.
Awesome. Good on you guys.
Yeah.
Doing well.
All right, mate.
Doing well. Yeah, that's about it.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for the guys that joined us today, and as always, thank you to Angel for looking after us. Thank you to you, mate, for being my trading buddy. Thank you to all the guys that posted it in the room as well. Thank you, John. Really good to have you on board. Thank you to George too for popping in and giving us his analysis. But I'm really enjoying Mondays, actually, mate. I think it's a really, really good show on a Monday now.
Well, mate, you keep giving us winners, so why not? Why wouldn't you?
Oh, well, yeah.
Totally.
That's a bonus
well.
for me, really. Yeah.
But no, I agree with you. I'm enjoying Mondays. Look, I used to hate Mondays because Mondays to me, I'm not going to trade it. Why would I bother? But now it's a very good opportunity to set up the week by getting ideas from all of our trading buddies. And I include David, you in that as well. Thank you for your input. As I always said, if you are trading by yourself, it's a very, very lonely thing. And if you've got someone else to rub ideas off, why not? And that's what the show's all about.
Yeah, don't. I'm sorry if I forgot to mention the guys on YouTube as well. We do appreciate you guys being here too. It's the totality, holistic. This is brilliant.
Totally. Look, guys, have a great week, and hope you can put some money in the till. That would be good. We look forward to catching up with you again on Thursday. Those of you who are now in the Trading Buddies group as a result of the slingshot presentations, I'll catch up with you on Zoom, I think it is, in about 13 minutes from now. It'll just give me time to have one wine, which is fantastic. Have a great week ahead. John, I'll see you Thursday, mate. Sharpen that pencil, won't you? Have a great week. Thanks for being our Trading Buddies.